Sarah Steinberg, in honor of the Yartzeit of Ayal's mother, Ilya Daphna Bas Yosef. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah and Shem will have an Aliyah and the family in Nechama. Let's begin. So Tanan, some Shay Rabbi Kiva Omer. Both say so. We're still. The good news is, I know many of you thought that the discussion about Asham was over. Rest easy. It is not. Baruch Hashem. There's still more Asham for everyone. Right? And again, we're going to be discussing over here specifically, focusing on the Shita of the Mishnah, which wants to group Asham together with Chatos. Specifically for what purpose? That just as a Chatos which is offered up Shalom Lishma, what's the halacha? Again, the good news is we're going to become Bikiyim in Karbanos. What's the halacha when Asham is offered up Shalom Lishma? Puzzle, right? Puzzle, mamish puzzle gamre. So Rabbi Eliezer wants to suggest that an asham is in the same category. So we've been discussing that particular shita this entire time. So it's not hasam. Rabbi Kiva Omer kol dam shenichnasu leheichal lechaper psulim. Rabbi Kiva holds that in general, any time that blood of a korban is brought inside the heichal to effect atonement, the blood is puzzle. The chum say no, chatas bilvad. It is only the blood of a chatas that have brought inside ultimately is puzzle. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Afa Asham. Rabbi Eliezer says it's not only the chatos that's puzzle, if its blood is brought on the inside, but even the Asham. Why? Shene'emar kachatas ka'asham. Also remember again, this is Shitas Rabbi Eliezer in general, based on this very simple pasuk, kachatas ka'asham, which tells me that whatever the status of the chatos is, the Asham shares the same status. Bishlama Rabbi Eliezer kidika amar taima. So I understand Rabbi Eliezer. I understand Rabbi Eliezer's shita in terms of Asham because he just quoted the pasuk. And the Rabbanon my taima, but why do the Rabbanon say that dafka achatas is puzzle if you bring his blood inside the heichal? Amirava Asham nichnas damo lifnim puzzle lo matzis amrit. So the Gemara says as follows. Rava says because an Asham whose blood is brought inside that it should become puzzle is not really a tenable position. Why? Amrit kavachomer. Kavachomer ola. Because what's the kavachomer from ola? What's the kavachomer? Ma ola. What's the top of Yud Aleph? Ma ola shu kalil nichnas damalifnim kshera. So an ola which is totally burnt on the mizbeach, and yet if you bring its blood on the inside, the carbon will still be kosher. Asham sheino kalil kol shekin. An asham which is not totally consumed in the mizbeach, will say if its blood is brought on the inside, certainly again it should not go ahead and pose a problem. To which Mar said, 1 second, Ma la ola shekin ein mechaperes. But how can you compare an ola to a chatos? At the end of the day, an ola is not mechaper. An ola doesn't affect kapara. Minchas chote tochiach. We'll say so. The mincha of a chote, meaning the mincha offered up by someone who was liable to a chatos, ultimately again will prove this point. We'll say Rashi points out that the minchas chote is the carbon ola v'yorei the shmias kol. Remember, shmias kol is the case a person is called upon to give edus. They swear they don't know any edus, and therefore again ultimately they have to bring the carbon over the v'yorei. So why not go ahead and bring the rye from chatas ha'of? Chatas ha'of bayot Rabbi Avini. We'll say chatas ha'of. We ran into the problem posed by Rabbi Avini, which was brought up in yesterday's daf. V'lifroch. Why not go ahead and advance the pircha? Mala minchas chote shekein eina min zevach. We'll say, why don't you bring up the fact that you can't compare it to the mincha of a chote? Why? Because we'll say a mincha is a meal offering. It's a flour offering. It's not a zevach. It's not a carbon. Ola tochiach. Ultimately, fine, you can prove it from Ola. But Baram and say, v'chazra din lo rizikiri izeh, v'lo rizekiri izeh. At the end of the day, these cases are all dissimilar. And so, what is the common denominator between these cases? Shehin kadshe kadashim. We'll say these are all cases of kadshe kadashim, which remember again are highest sanctity offerings. V'nichnas daman lifnim ksherim. And even though normally there is no concept of a blood application on the inside of the Beis HaMikdash, but all of these kabbalas which are kadshe kadashim, if the blood was offered up inside the Beis HaMikdash, nevertheless the carbon would still be kosher. Afani avi asham shu kodesh kadashim. So too again, I will include asham, which is also kodesh kadashim. V'nichlas damal lifnim kosher. And if its blood is offered up inside the Beis HaMikdash, it will still be kosher. So we'll say this explains the shita of Rabbi Eliezer. This explains the shita of the Rabbanan. That ultimately, again, even if the asham is brought inside of the Beis HaMikdash, the blood will still, the carbon itself will still be kosher. Amar le Rava mi Barnish Ravashi. So Rava mi Barnish says to Ravashi, Belifroch. Why don't you raise the following kasha on the Kavachomer or on the Maharatzad? Belifroch, Mala Tarashava Shavahan, Shekin Ein Lahen Kitzva. Why don't you come the namdir amongst all of these other korbanos? So we'll say is that what? They have no minimum value requirement. Yet, Tomar ba'asham sheyesh lo kitzva. Yet, Rabbi say when it comes to asham, as you saw in yesterday's daf, there is a minimum value requirement for asham. What's the minimum value requirement for asham? 2 shkalim. Right? You can't bring in asham less than 2 shkalim. Ella hainu taimayu d'Rabbanan. Rather, this is the logic of the Rabbanan. Rabbi say, remember again, I want to be clear. So the Rabbanan go ahead. The Rabbanan are the ones who say. That it is only the blood of a chatos, which if brought inside the Beis Hamikdash will invalidate the karban. Right? Only chatos. So the Gemara says, what's the logic of the Rabbanan? So the Gemara says, Da'amakra, Dama shel zu, v'lo Dama shel acher. But say ultimately again, the pasuk says, Dama, its blood, which is a reference to the chatos. It is only this blood, which if brought inside the Beis Hamikdash, will ultimately again be possible, but this does not apply to other karbanos. Therefore, other karbanos which have no blood application inside the Beis Hamikdash, even if their blood is brought inside, the karban will not be possible. V'idach, in the other opinion, will say dama velo bisara. We'll say that actually from dama we darshan its blood and not its flesh. What does that mean, Rashi? Velo bisara. It's right across from Tosfos bala ovda. Shem nichnas bisar lehecha inan efseles. That if the meat of the karban was brought inside the Beis Hamikdash, it doesn't invalidate the karban. V'idach dam dama. The other opinion will say I can learn that out from the fact that it could have just said dam. It says dama, and therefore I can learn out 2 things from there. Number 1, that it's only the blood of achatas which is brought inside invalidates the karban, and number 2, it's only the blood which invalidates the karban. Bringing the flesh of the karban inside does not invalidate it. V'idach dam dama lo darish. The other opinion doesn't darshan about side the dam dama drasha. Fine. Bishlama the Rabbanan the Amri Asham sheshachtu shelo lishmo kasher. So it's according to the Rabbanan who say that an asham that was shechted shelo lishmo is kosher. Because we'll remember again, going back to the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer is the only one who says that an asham is like a chatos. Right? Remember again, and in Rabbi Eliezer's defense, he's got a pretty good proof. What's his proof? What's his drasha? Kachatas kasham, right? The pasuk seems to link the two. So Eliezer is of the opinion that just like everyone agrees that a chatas that's offered up shelo lishma is going to be puzzle, so to an asham offered up shelo lishma is going to be puzzle. But the Rabbanan hold no, an asham is like every other karban that if offered up shelo lishma, what's the halacha? It's kosher. But doesn't count towards the owner's obligation. So Bishlam, the Rabbanan Damri Asham Shishachtu Shelo Lishmo Kasher. So according to Rabbanan, we say that Asham never shed Shelo Lishmo is kasher. Hainu de Iskish Mincha Lechatos Mincha LaAsham. I understand the comparison between the Mincha and a Chatos and a Mincha and a Asham. What's the comparison? We'll say here we go. This Anya. Rabbi Shimon says as follows. Kodesh Kadoshimi Kachatas Ka'asham. The pasuk says, "It shall be holy of holies, kodesh kadashimi, kachatas ka'asham, like the chatas, like the asham." So the minchas chote harihi kechatas. The mincha of a chote, we'll say, is like a chatas. What does that mean? What does that mean? Lefichach, get ready for this. Kamsa shalo lishma psula. We'll say, what is it when it links ultimately again the mincha to the chatas to tell you that if one did the kmitza shelo lishma, ultimately again the mincha is possible. So remember again, what's the kmitza? So the kmitza is the Kohen takes his 3 middle. We spoke about this on Sunday. Kohen takes his 3 middle fingers, scoops up some of the flour, shaves off the excess with his pinky and with his thumb. That part goes in his back. The rest of the carbon is actually consumed by the Kohen himself. So the Gemara says as follows. So what does it teach you? What's the comparison between the mincha, ultimately again, and the chatas? Tell you, just as the chatas have done shelo lishma is going to be possible, so to a mincha where the kmitza was done shelo lishma will also be possible. Minchas nedava hari kasham. So we'll say if you have a minchas nedava, which is a mincha, which is a nedava, it is. I know that was the technical definition, right? So hari kasham is like an asham. We'll say first wide line of Yudalef from Medalef. Hari kasham lefichach kamsa shelo lishma kshera. We'll say so amazing. So now what we see is this is really, you have to admit, this is riveting, because we'll say what we see over here is in one carbon. 2 different affiliations, carbonic affiliations. If you are a minchas chote, so we'll say if you're bringing a mincha as a form of sin offering, then what? Your mincha is like a chatos. right? If your mincha is like a chatas, that means just like a chatas shelo lishma is possible. So too the kmitza of the mincha done shelo lishma will also invalidate the mincha. Yet, if you're bringing a minchas nedava, which is just a voluntary mincha, the Gemara says that is treated like an asham, like an asham. So you say to yourself, well, why is a voluntary mincha treated like an asham? What's the answer? The answer is it's just based on the pasuk. The pasuk, when referring to the mincha, says kodesh kadoshimi kachatos ka'asham. So it's telling me that there are times that the mincha is like a chatos and times that the mincha is like an asham. So, okay, when is the mincha like a chatos? When is the mincha like a chatos? When it's offered as a sin offering. When is it like an asham? Apparently, any other time. So therefore, from offering up a minchas nedava, a voluntary mincha, that's like an asham. We'll say, what's the status of an asham? So therefore, what? If I offer up the minchas nedava, shelo lishma, what's the halacha? It is kosher. Why? I will say, just like an asham that is offered shelo lishma. Again, remember, Rabbi Eliezer is alone on the island. He is the only one who holds that a asham shelo lishma is like a chatas shelo lishma. Incredible. So now, first of all, let's say what's incredible about these gemaras is the ability to pick up different carbonic facts as we go along. So just even this notion, first of all, there are two different types of carbon minchas. I mean, there's more than two different types. But for our purposes, there's the minchas chote, there's the minchas nedava, and each of them have a different status. Minchas chote, like a carbon chatos, therefore shelo lishma will be puzzle. Minchas nedava, like an asham, and therefore shelo lishma will be kosher. That's fine according to the Rabbanah. I will say second wide line, you know, aleph from Aleph. Ella, Rabbi Eliezer, my hilchosa iskish mincha lechatos or mincha leasham. Well, according to Rabbi Eliezer, and remember again, what's Rabbi Eliezer's shita? What does Rabbi Eliezer hold? He holds that what? An asham is like a chatos. So now we've got a problem, because the Torah is telling me that a mincha is like a chatas, like an asham. Well, in Rabbi Eliezer's worldview, that's repetitive, because chatas and asham share the same. If that's the case, why is the Torah comparing mincha, chatas, and the asham, which the Gemara says, l'chi idach to Rabbi Shimon. The comparison, I will say, is important for the other limud of Rabbi Shimon. Watch this. This is amazing. This nan shelo b'kli sharis psula. We'll say that the halacha is, what happens if you took the komets, you took the handful of the 3 fingerfuls of the korban mincha, and you didn't put it in a kli sharis. We'll say kli sharis is a sanctified temple utensil. Look at Rashi. Shelo b'kli sharis, shelo kiddush hakomet. It's almost right across from the Gemara, but it's not. Right? Meaning it's across from the Gemara, right across 6 lines up. Shelo b'kli sharis, shelo kiddush hakomet b'kli sharis psula. We'll say, watch this, that if you took the komets, and you're supposed to put it in a kli sharis. So the Kohen takes the komets, supposed to put it in a sanctified utensil. Let's say he didn't. So we'll say, what's the halacha? The carbon is pasul. Why? Shamanachas hukshel Zevachim. Because ultimately, again, the mincha is compared to liton arba avodos. To teach you that, again, you're chayv in arba avodos. 4 different types of sacrificial service. Kamitza keneged shchita. So we'll say the kamitza corresponds to the shchita. Matan komets b'kli sharis keneged kabbalah. And the placement of the komets into the kli sharis corresponds ultimately to the receiving of the blood, to Kabbalah. Holacha keneged holacha. I will say both have a holacha, which means walking the item over to the mizbeach. And haktara keneged zvika. And ultimately, again, the offering, the haktara, the offering of the komets, corresponds to the zrikas hadam. So we'll say, first of all, this is amazing. Just in general, to remember the 4 fundamental avodos by a carbon: shchita, Kabbalah, holacha, zrika. We had that last week. Now the Gemara just says, by the way, mincha has the same 4 corresponding avodos. So instead of Kabbalah, which means the receiving of the blood, by the mincha, what is that? That's the placement of the komets into the kli sharis. Holacha is the same by both. The zrika, halacha is the same by both, and ultimately again the haktara is by the zrika, right? The haktara is the sprinkling of the offering of the komets corresponds to the sprinkling of the blood. So we'll say, listen to this. So therefore, if you do not go ahead and what? If you do not go ahead and offer up, or I should say, place the kamitza into the kli sharis, so ultimately what? We'll say, by the way, you notice again, by mincha there was 3, right? Because again, remember, the last piece is obvious, which is the actual burning of the komets on the mizbeach itself corresponds to the burning of the carbon. So the placement of the komets represents the zrika, the sprinkling, and then ultimately again the haktara, the burning of the item, is the same for both. So anyway, the Gemara says as follows. So shalom b'kli is pasul. Rabbi Shimon machshir. Rabbi Shimon says that halacha l'maisa, even if you didn't place the komets in the klisharis, the carbon mincha is kosher. Oh, so you're gonna ask why? My time of so we'll see, this is where it gets very exciting. Rabbi Shimon, where do you get that from? That you could offer up a carbon mincha even though what the komets wasn't placed in the klisharis. How do you know that? My time of Shimon, Amarkra Kodesh Kadoshim Yi Kachatos Ka'asham. Very interesting. Because the carbon mincha is Kodesh Kadoshim Kachatos Ka'asham. Look at Rashi for just a moment. Now this is actually right across in Rashi. Kachatos Ka'asham. First of all, Rabbi Shimon Machshir, Im Holicho Biyada Bekom So Adam Mizbeach Vektira. So also Rabbi Shimon says that if you mamish took the komets in your hand and walked the komets over to the Mizbeach and placed the komets on there, so you skipped the klisharis, Rabbi Shimon says the carbon is still kosher. Why? Because the pasuk says kachatas kosher. Rashi says lahachi iskish mincha lechatas ula ashim shinashavim be'ilcho sein lo melach. We'll say, watch this. Gary, look at the Gemara. So kiyashim bala ovdo biyad. If you want to offer up the carbon mincha with your hand, i.e., without the klisharis, ovda biyamin kachatas, you have to do it with your right hand like a carbon chatas. We'll say in just a moment. Bekli, if you want to go ahead and put the carbon mincha into into utensil, then ovda bismal ki asham. You do it with your left like an asham. What is this talking about? Take a look at Rashi. Bala ovda behalachos v'aktaros b'yashel bekli. If you don't want to use a klisharis, then what? Ovda b'yamin, Rashi says, shakometz ba kizrikas dam chatas shi biyad ube'etzba ubiyamin. Dichsib b'chatas v'lakach hakoy midam chatas betzbao v'dar shin on betzbao v'nasar shalotein nesina elabiyam. Both say, watch this. In Rabbi Shimon's model, you have an option, you have a choice as to how to offer up a mincha. You could offer it up again biyad or b'kli. But here's the difference. If you're going to offer it up biyad, then you have to offer it up in the way that the kohen does the zrika. How does the kohen do the zrika? We'll say zrika has to be done biyad yamin, just like the zrika of the chatos, which has to be done biyad yamin. On the other hand, if you want to go ahead and offer it up with a kli, Rashi says, bala avda b'kli, Rashi la avda b'small, reading Rashi, laholi chakli shekadsha b'socha b'smalo lemizbeach, v'litin b'smalo minak ala ashim ala ishim kizrikas dam asham shu min aklila mizbeach she'ina binasinas etzba deloksiv etzba ela bechatos ukshira b'smal. We'll say, watch this. So chatos ultimately again has to have an actual blood application. Because of that, the zrikas adam has to be done ultimately again with his hand, which is done biyad yamin. The asham could just have the blood poured from the klisharis and could even be done bismol, with your left hand. So we'll say, get ready for this incredible drasha. So therefore, in Rabbi Eliezer's model, where Rabbi Eliezer says that, remember, for him, in his world, so chatas and asham have the same status. So we'll say, remember again, we'll go back in just a moment. So Rabbi Eliezer says that the comparison between mincha and chatas and asham yields two dramatic halachas. Tells you that you could offer up a mincha either biyad or bikli. But if you're going to offer it up biyad, then what? Kachatas, which means what? Right hand. Or if you're going to offer it up bikli, ka'asham, even with your left hand. So we'll say, so amazingly enough, a fundamental machlokes is how to understand the comparison between carbon mincha and the chatas and the asham. According to the Rabbanan, I will say, ultimately, again, it's teaching us that halacha l'maisa, distinction between two different types of menachos. A minchas chote, which is like a chatas, if offered up shalol l'shma, will be pasul. A minchas nedava, like an asham, if offered up shalol l'shma, will be kosher. Rabbi Eliezer says, no. Kachatas kasha, I'm telling me two different ways to offer up menachos. You could offer up kechatas, which means biyad, but it has a biyad yamin, or ka'asham b'kli, and then it could even be done b'smol. Incredible. So the Gemara goes weiter. Rabbi Shimon haikra mafik leilahahi, umafik leilahahi. So what's the Rabbi Shimon will dash in the pasuk both ways. In other words, Rabbi Shimon will say these limudim actually are not mutually exclusive. Also remember again, you could accept both drushes of kachatas ka'asham, both according to the Rabbanan and according to Rabbi Eliezer, for they are not mutually exclusive. Again, remember, the only thing that forced Rabbi Eliezer to go ahead and dash differently than Rabbanan was what? Because the Rabbanan made the comparison between mincha and asham to tell you, just as asham could be offered up shol l'shma, so to a minchas nadava could be offered up shol l'shma. That doesn't work in Rabbi Eliezer's model, because Rabbi Eliezer holds that an asham has to be offered up l'shma. So ikar kra look at Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Chiya. So we'll say the Gemara says, but the ikar kra, the ikar pasuk, comes to ultimately again make the drasha of Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Chiya, the uminchas chote de psula shelo l'shma, and ultimately again to teach me that the minchas chote that is offered up shelo l'shma will be possible. So the Gemara says chatos taimamai tichsiv ba hi minchas chote. He mincha. He. Because we'll say the pasuk says ultimately again he. Remember again, wherever we see that drush of he or who, always comes to teach us that what? Dafka. That it has to be done l'shma. To which the Gemara says, minchas chote namik siv ba he. Or by minchas chote it also says the word he. So what do we do with that? To which the Gemara says, l'rabanan, l'may hilchasa iskish chatas la'asham, asham l'chatas. So what's according to the Rabbanan, for what purpose is asham compared to chatas? Lomar lecha machatas tu smicha af asham ton smicha. But say ultimately again to teach me that just as the chatas requires smicha, so too the asham requires smicha as well. So we'll say incredibly dramatic Gemara. I will say, but ultimately again, what does come out, I just want to point out to you that halacha lemaisa, we accept. When I say halacha lemaisa, I mean the Rambam Psulei Mikdashin brings down both of these concepts halacha lemaisa. So we just learned two pieces of hilchos karbanos halacha lemaisa, both of them revolving around the mincha, teaching me four halachas essentially. Halacha number one, that if a minchas chote is offered up shelo lishma, the kmitz is done shelo lishma. What's the status of the halacha of the karban? Pasul, like a chatas. Halacha number two, if a minchas nadava is offered up shelo lishma, the halacha bosa is kosher, just like an asham. Halacha number three, if a karban mincha is offered up biyad, it must be done how? Biyad yamin, like the chatas. And if it's offered up bekli, now if it's offered up bekli, then what? Right. Now if it's offered up bekli, it's even the left hand. Meaning, obviously, it doesn't have to be done with the left hand. We lefties feel cheated on a variety of levels, but you never have to use your left hand, right? But what it's saying is, if you offer it up a kli, you can even use your left hand. And I will say those are four pieces of halacha lemaisa. Good. Weiter. Yossi ben Choni Omar Neshchaz. So also remember again, Yossi ben Choni had an interesting sheet in the Mishnah. Yossi ben Choni spoke about Shina. He says, "Hanishchatan l'shem pasach l'shem chatas psulin." He says, it sounds like what he's saying is, anything that's shechted l'shem Pesach and l'shem Chatos will be pasul. We're going to define the scope of this. So the Gemara says as follows: Rabbi Yochanan, Yosef ben Choni, Rabbi Eliezer, Amru Davar Echad. So Rabbi Yochanan says that really Yosef ben Choni is saying the same thing as Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Amar Ba'achirim, excuse me. Eliezer Amru Davar Echad. Rabbi Amar Ba'achirim. Right, Ba'achirim l'shem Chatos pligi. Rabbi says, no, what they're arguing about, they're both saying, is what happens if you offer up other karbanos, l'shem chatos. Ultimately, and if you look at Rashi for just a moment, it's the fourth wide line. Rabba Amar Ba'achirim l'shem chatos pligi. Yosef, here, actually, if you look at the previous Rashi before, Amru Davar Echad, to Rabbi Eliezer, Nami Pasal Ba'achirim hanishchatel l'shem Pesach. Rabbi Eliezer also holds that other karbanos that are offered up l'shem Pesach, the bismano on the time for Pesach, l'shem chatas kamos hashana, and Rabbi says no, ba'achirim l'shem chatas pligi. Yossi ben Choni Rabbi Eliezer, lo pas Rabbi Eliezer ela ba'achirim l'shem Pesach, ava ba'achirim l'shem chatas machshir. So Rabbi's view is that no, Yossi ben Choni, Rabbi Eliezer only passes by achirim that were offered, other karbanos offered up l'shem Pesach, but for other karbanos offered up l'shem chatas, ultimately Rabbi Eliezer says they're kosher. Yossi Choni will say that it's possible. So we'll say machlokes about what the machlokes Yossi ben Choni Rabbi Eliezer is. So the Gemara says, Tisanya haPesach she'avra shnasa v'shachta bizmano. So listen to this. So Pesach was she'avra shnasa means, remember, Korban Pesach can only be offered up within its first year. Let's say it aged out. So what's the halacha? And you shechted it bizmano. You shechted it on Erev Pesach lishmo, for the sake of Pesach. V'china shochet acherim l'shem Pesach bizmano. Or if you shechted other karbanos l'shem Pesach on Erev Pesach. Rabbi Eliezer posel Rabbi Shua machshir. Rabbi Eliezer says that it's possible, and Rabbi Yeshua says that it's kosher. Amar Rabbi Yeshua in B'shayimos Hashana she'eno kosher l'shmo. Both say if you shecht, this is talking about a Korban Pesach. If you shecht the carbon during the rest of the year, then l'shmo means l'shem Pesach. The carbon is not kosher. Achirim ksherim l'shmo. So the Gemara says achirim ksherim l'shmo. But if you shechted other carbonos for the sake of Pesach, it's kosher. Because remember again, if you shecht a carbon during the rest of the year, l'shem Pesach, then what is that? That's a shlamim. That's just a regular shlamim. Bizmano shu kosher l'shmo. Then certainly if you shechted bizmano on Erev Pesach, and if you shechted l'shmo, it's kosher. Eino din sheyichshir achirim l'shmo. Then certainly what? Certainly other carbonos shechted l'shem Pesach on Erev Pesach should be kosher. Amar lo Rabbi Eliezer ochi l'fadvarim. Everybody says you can say just the opposite. Uma in b'shayimos hashana she'ino kosher l'shmo. If during the rest of the year where it's not kosher l'shmo, kosher l'shem achirim, it is kosher ultimately for purpose. Bizmano shu kosher l'shmo. When it is kosher l'shmo, eino din sheyuchshar l'shem achirim. Certainly it should be kosher if he shechted for some other purpose. The yuchshar pesach ba'abas are shelo l'shmo, and therefore again a pesach. Are you really willing to say this? That a Korban Pesach shechted on Erev Pesach shelo should be kosher? Mali yuchshar achirim b'shayimos hashana l'shmo. Why is it that again other karbanos offered up during the rest of the year l'shmo will be kosher? Shekenu kosher l'shem achirim. V'yichshir achirim l'shmo. Shekenu pas l'shem achirim. Rabbi Yeshua says, well, here's the problem. If you accept that premise, horeisa koach pesach v'nasata koach b'shlamim. You have literally again downgraded the koach of the Korban Pesach, and you've given additional koach to other forms of karbanos. Chazer Rabbi Eliezer v'dono din acher. Rabbi Eliezer therefore modified his ruling. Matzinu mosar pesach b'shlamim. We found that both said that a quote unquote an extra Korban Pesach, which I will say we've seen all the variety of cases for that. Simplest case is I separated out a carbon for Korban Pesach. Then what happens? Carbon gets lost. I bring a replacement, and then we find the first. So what happens to that carbon? I will say b'shlamim could be offered up as a shlamim. Yet ve'in mosar shlamim b'Pesach. But I will say a leftover shlamim carbon cannot come as a Korban Pesach. Uma Pesach shamosar b'shlamim. So I'll say when it comes to Korban Pesach, if a leftover Korban Pesach could be offered up as a shlamim, shachto bizmano shlushum shlamim pasol. And if you shechted on Erev Pesach, l'shum shlamim ultimately again pasol. Shlamim she'in mosarin b'Pesach. We'll say other shlamim where in mosarin b'Pesach. We're going to say the other leftover karbanos cannot be offered up at the Korban Pesach. Im shachtam l'shem Pesach bizmano. If you shechted l'shem Pesach at the right time, eino din shei psulin. Should the carbon certainly not be? Shouldn't the carbon certainly be possible? Amar Bezer will say, Amar Rabbi Yeshua, matzinu mosar chatas ba'ola. Rabbi Yeshua responds, we have seen a leftover chatas be offered up as an ola. Ve'ein mosar ola ba'chatas. But a leftover ola can never come as a chatos. Uma chatos shemosara ba'ola. We'll say if it comes to a chatos, where the leftover carbon can be offered up as an ola, shachta l'shem ola psula. But if you shechted it, if you shechted a chatos l'shem ola, then ultimately it will be possible. Because once remember, any shinui by chatos is possible. Ola she'im mosara ba'chatos. Then certainly in older Rabbi say where the leftover carbon cannot be brought as a chatos, shachta l'shem chatos eino din shetei psula. Certainly again, if you shechted it l'shem chatos, certainly it should be possible. Amar lo Rabbi Eliezer lo im amrot bechatos kin ksheir l'shma kol hashana. When it comes to chatos, which is kosher offered up l'shma throughout the entire year, Kamar Pesach she'ino kosher l'shma ela bizmano. Pesach is only kosher offered up l'shmo in its right time. Hoilvu pasal l'shmo, since Rabbi say ultimately again it'll be pasal even if offered up l'shmo. Dinhu sheyif sulachirim l'shmo. Again, Rabbi say other karbanos which if offered up l'shem Pesach, not at the right time, or even on the right time, should certainly be possible, even if they're offered up l'shma. Both say, bottom line, halacha l'maisa. What do we take from this? So the Rambam in Hilchos Psulim HaMukdashin says as follows. This is in Perek Tesvav, halacha yud beis. Halacha yud beis. Listen to this. So the Rambam says, both say, bottom line, Pesach sheshachtu l'shma ba'arba'asar chatzos. No, actually, that's not jumping ahead a little bit. It's the next sugya. All right, you know what? I'll just read it to you, and then we'll see it in the Gemara just a moment, because the Rambam groups a number of halachos together. Pesach sheshachtu l'shma ba'arba'asar kodim chatzos pasal lefi she'eino zmano. We'll get to this in just a moment. Avrash naso v'shachta b'zmano. We'll say if the carbon aged out, right? The carbon is over a year, but you shechted it on Erev Pesach. V'china shochet shar Zevachim b'shei Pesach. We'll say this is really the ikar over here. This is what we're talking about. If somebody shechted other karbanos l'shem Pesach, so the Rebbe say now I'm shechting another carbon l'shem carbon Pesach. Afilu shachtan achar chatzos. Even if I shechted them after chatzos on Erev Pesach, hare elu ksherim, the karbanos are kosher. But what? They have not satisfied my carbon Pesach obligation. So we'll say this is really the part that we're focusing on over here. If the carbon, if ultimately again, I went ahead and I shechted an animal that was over a year old, and I shechted it on Erev Pesach, l'shem Pesach, or I shechted other karbanos, l'shem Pesach, on Erev Pesach, we'll say the halacha is the karbanos are kosher, but obviously they do not count as carbon Pesach. The first case doesn't count as carbon Pesach because ultimately again it aged out, and ultimately in the second case we'll say because these karbanos already had pre-existing identities. But I'm sorry, it's a shlamim. It counts as a shlamim. So the Gemara goes back. It says as follows. So Shimon Achi Azariah Omer. So let's remember again, this was the last opinion quoted in the Mishnah. Shimon Achi Azariah says as follows. He says that halacha l'maisa, anytime that there's a shinui, anytime you change the designation of the carbon, you have in mind for the wrong designation. So Shimon Achi Azariah says as follows. As long as what? As long as your kavana is for a carbon of higher sanctity than what? The carbon is kosher. If your kavana was for a carbon of lower sanctity, your carbon is pasul. Says the Gemara, Amar Ravashi, Masni Mishmei Rabbi Yochanan, Rav Acha Rava, Masni Mishmei Rabbi Yanai. My time, the Shimon Achi Azariah. Where does Shimon Achi Azariah get this from? That if shinui for a higher sanctity, the carbon is kosher. Shinui for lower sanctity, the carbon is pasul. Damakral, V'lo yechalu Hashem Kodshe, es Kodshe b'nei Yisrael, eis asher yarimu la'Hashem. So the pasuk says, "V'lo yechalu es kachim b'nei." So you shall not profane the kachim of Klal Yisrael. Eis asher yarimu la'Hashem, that which they lift up to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So b'muram mehen ein mischalulim. As long as what? As long as you raised up your carbon, you have not profaned it. Which Shimon Achi Azariah translates as how? As long as you had in mind for a higher sanctity, the carbon is good. B'namoch mehen mischalulim. But if you have in mind for a lower category carbon, ultimately again the carbon is profane. So one second. Ultimately again, is that what we use that pasuk for? We need that pasuk to teach us the din of Shmuel. First, why la damar Shmuel? How do we know that if a person eats tevel? Tevel means produce from which Shumas and Maestros have not been separated. This is amazing. How do I know that if halacha l'maisa I eat tevel, I'm chayiv misa shneemar v'lo yichalu Hashem kodshi Hashem v'lo yichalu es kodshe b'nei Yisrael asher yarimu laHashem. Well, so listen to how they dash in this pasuk. You shall not profane kodshe b'nei Yisrael asher yarimu, that they will lift up. Ba'asidim litrom akasim medaber. Torah is talking about being chayiv misa for something which will be lifted up, which is a reference to tevel. If you eat tevel, which ultimately again will have chumas and maestros lifted up from it, but you eat from it before you lift up the chumas and maestros, you chayiv misa. Im kein lichtov kra asher hormu. That's the case. If I was going to just say asher hormu, my asher yarimu. Why does it phrase it as yarimu? For what purpose? Shema mina tarti. What was it to teach me both halachas? Halachas. So I learned two halachas from that pasuk. Number one, that halacha l'maisa you don't profane the carbon if what? Asher yarimu. If you lift up the sanctity, you only profane it if you downgrade it. And halacha number two, that if you go and you eat tevel, the person's chayiv misa. Incredible. But Rabbi Zera, ksherin ve'imiratzin. Excuse me. I'm Rabbi Zera. So what's Rabbi Zera? Boi Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera advances the following shayla. He says the following. When Shimon Achi Azariah says that if you have in mind for a higher sanctity carbon, the carbon is kosher, does he mean ksherin ve'imeratzin? We'll say, what does kosher mean? Does kosher mean the carbon is kosher, but it does not affect atonement on behalf of the owner, and therefore again v'chi pligi b'chad pligi, and therefore really Yossi is only going ahead and Shimon is only really arguing on one point. In other words, I will say he's only arguing that the carbon could be kosher, but he's agreeing that the carbon does not advance atonement on behalf of the owner. O Dilma, ksherin umiratzun betarti pligi. Or maybe I will say what Shimon Achi Azar is actually saying is that what? When you have in mind for a higher level carbon, I will say it does two things. What does it do? Number one, the carbon is kosher. Number two, it is misyaches to the owner. It affects atonement on behalf of the owner, and therefore he's arguing on 2 points. Rabbi Zrika, Tashma, Habachar Bahamaiser, Sheshachton, Hashem Shlamim Ksherim. So also remember again in the Mishnah. So Shimon Achi Azariah says as follows: if you take a Bachar and Meiser and you shecht it L'Shem Shlamim, it's Ksherim, right? Because you're having in mind for a higher sanctity. On the flip side, Shlamim Sheshachton, L'Shem Bachar, or L'Shem Meiser Psulin. If you take a carbon shlamim and you shechter l'shem bachar l'shem meiser, it'll be possible. And if you want to say that in Shimon Achi Azariah's model, the carbon is not only kosher but it also affects atonement, so bachar baritzuyu. Why does he choose the case of bachar? Bachar affects no atonement on behalf of the owner. Rather, you have to say what? That in Shimon Achi Azariah's model, so what he means is, if you have in mind for a higher level sanctity, then what? The carbon is kosher, but it is not misyaches to the owner. It's not connected to the owner, and therefore it does not affect any atonement to the owner. And since the end of the Mishnah will say is ultimately talking about a case of kshem ve'emeratzin, so to the Reisha. So the Gemara says, 1 second, midei area, hakadisa v'hakadisa. Maybe not. Maybe the 2 cases in the Mishnah will say should be reckoned separately. Elamai kamash valon, gava v'namah. So what is Shimon Achi Azariah coming to teach us? He's coming to teach us the different gradations of karbanos. Well, that doesn't make sense. The Gemara says, Tanina, we already learned the different gradations of karbanos. Keitzad kachei kadashim. We'll say sheshachton l'shem kachim kalim. Ultimately, again, we learned elsewhere. We'll say that what? The case of kachei, we learned in the Mishnah. Kachei kadashim, that were shachton l'shem kachim kalim. So the Mishnah already gave me the different categories. Ma'odetema, what would I have thought? Kachei kadashim, the kachei kalim would be ikal gavah v'namoch. Amar thought that really in karbanos there are only 2 different categories. There's kachei kadashim, kachei kalim. Ava kalim v'kalim lo. We'll say, but maybe in kachim kalim itself, maybe there are not different gradations. To which the Mishnah says that's not true. Even in kachim kalim, there are different gradations. Hanamitin, but we already learned that as well. Shlamim kodim v'sabachar b'nei shem tunim matan arba usmicha unisachim utinufas chazay v'shok. Well, so we already learned that even in kachim kalim there are different gradations. For example, shlamim rabosai comes before bachar. Why? Because shlamim requires matan arba, requires a blood applications, smicha, nisachim, nufa, waving of the chest and the thigh. To which the Gemara says, you're right, but ha'i agrara naspa. We'll say you're right, but the primary place where the Mishnah teaches me this halacha bosa is in our Mishnah, and the second Mishnah again was kind of just brought in passing. Now the truth is, we don't adopt any of these distinctions halacha l'maisa, the distinction of Rabbi Eliezer, of Yossi, of Shimon Achi Azariah. So that's why again the Rambam doesn't codify any of this halacha. We don't make these types of distinctions. Mishnah. We'll say weiter. Second Mishnah, Mazel Tov. I'm completing the first Mishnah on Maseches Zevachim. Shkoyach. Second Mishnah. It only gets better. HaPesach sheshachtu shachris v'arbasa. Let's listen to the Shlosh. We'll say it's in case. I'm shechting my carbon Pesach. Now we're focusing just on carbon Pesach. I'm shechting my carbon Pesach the morning of the 14th. Shalom l'shmo. Suppose that there's a variety of things that are happening over here. Right? Number one, I'm shechting in the morning. Again, even though we always slept Carbon Pesach shechted in the afternoon, we'll discuss this. So I'm shechting it in the morning of Erev Pesach, Shalom l'shmo. Not for the sake of Carbon Pesach. So what's the halacha? Rabbi Yoshua machshir. Rabbi Yoshua says the carbon is kosher, kilu nishchat b'shloshasar. as if it was shechted ultimately again on the 13th. Now, what does that mean? Look at Rashi. Rabbi Yeshua Machshir, the Pesach b'shaymos hashana chashavlei. So also essentially what Rabbi Yeshua is saying is as follows: that a Pesach offered up on the morning of Erev Pesach, Shelo Lishmo, is effectively what? Like a Karban Pesach offered up on any other day of the year, which is reckoned how? Karban Shlamim. Okay. Then Beseira Posel. Then Beseira says no. Excellent. Table 1. Got that right. Excellent. Baruch Hashem. So Posel. Then Beseira says it's puzzle. Then Beseira says that the Karban ultimately is puzzle. Kilo nishchat bein ha'arbayim. As if Rabbi said it was shechted on the afternoon of Erev Pesach, l'shem something other than Karban Pesach, and therefore again the Karban will be pasuk. Again, we're going to explain all of the shitos. Amar Shimon ben Azai. So Shimon ben Azai says, Mikubal animi shivim ushnaim zakein. So we'll say, listen to this. I have a Kabbalah from the 72 elders, which sounds like the Sanhedrin. B'yom sho shivas Rabbi Eliezer b'yeshiva. The day that they installed Rabbi Eliezer as the Rosh Yeshiva, that we learn the following. I will say any carbon which is consumed, which is eaten, that was offered up, that was shechted shel lishman, ksherim, ultimately again are kosher, but they don't satisfy the owner's obligation. I will say now this seems to be what? Restating that which we learned in the first Mishnah. That any carbon offered up shel lishma is going to be kosher, except it does not satisfy the owner's obligation. Chutz Mina Pesach u'mina Chatos. Wow. But what did he add in over here? So he added now, again, we also saw Pesach. We saw this before. This is actually not such a Chiddush. Right? Actually, it's not a Chiddush. We saw this before. With the exception of Pesach and Chatos. That if Pesach and Chatos are offered up Shol B'Shma, not only do they not satisfy the obligation, but what? The carbon itself is possible. For the Hosef ben Azai Ela Ha'olah, the only thing Ben Azai added onto this list, I will say, was what? Was the Olah for the Hodula Chachamim. And the Chachamim ultimately, again, did not agree with him. So I'll say, okay, now let's begin. So also we're going to focus on, the Mishnah brought down this first case of a Pesach that was offered up the morning on Erev Pesach. So what's the status of that carbon? Rabbi Yeshua says it's kosher. Now when he says it's kosher, he means it's kosher as what? Kosher as a shlamim. Because it's just like a carbon that was 13th, on the 12th, on the 11th, in the month of Shvat, whenever it is, and therefore it's offered up like a then Beseira ultimately says that it is possible. So let's analyze this. Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Oshia. Machshir haya ben Beseira, bepesach sheshachtu shachris ba'arbas al l'shmo. We'll say now, watch this. The Gemara just totally switched gears to a different case in the Mishnah. What about a Karban Pesach offered up the morning of Erev Pesach, l'shmo? So I shecht my Karban Pesach, lishmo, for the sake of Karban Pesach, but I shechted the morning of Karban Pesach. So now Rabbi Elazar is saying, name Rabbi Oshia, that Ben Beseira says such a carbon is kosher. Such a carbon is kosher. Why? Because we'll say, get ready for this. This is wild. This is wild. So we'll say, yeah, because Ben Beseira holds that the entire Erev Pesach is ultimately kosher for Karban Pesach. You can shech Karban Pesach the entire day. Umay ki'ilu. So ultimately, again, what's the meaning of the word ki'ilu? Rashi says, ki'ilu nishchat bein ha'arbayim. So also remember again, you go back in the Mishnah. So the Mishnah, when speaking about a case of a Karban Pesach shechted shelo lishmo, in the morning. So Ben Beseira said, it's ki'ilu nishchat bein ha'arbayim. It's as if it was offered up in the afternoon. But one second. If Ben Beseira says that the whole day is kosher for the Karban Pesach to be offered, why does he use the word ki'ilu? I di the Amar Rabbi Yoshua ki'ilu, Amar nami ki'ilu. Also, since Rabbi Yoshua used the word ki'ilu, Ben Beseira just wanted to fit in. Everybody wants to fit in, right? And therefore, again, if the first guy is using the word ki'ilu, not first guy, if Rabbi Yoshua is using the word ki'ilu, then Ben Beseira also wanted to use the word ki'ilu. So one second, the Gemara says, one second, you just dropped the bombshell on us over here. You just told me that Ben Beseira holds, let's leave aside Sholosh for just a moment. Let's take an actual typical case of Karban Pesach. What you just told me is that what? That Allah L'maisa Ben Beseira holds that if you offer up a Karban Pesach lishmo on the morning of Karban Pesach, then what? The Karban is going to be kosher. To which the Gemara says, with this we'll stop. Ihachi ad miflagi b'shalo lishmo, liflagi b'shmo. If that's the case, then why are you framing the machlokas in the Mishnah between Rabbi Yeshua and Ben Beseira in the case of Shalo Lishmo? I'll make it even more intriguing. Frame the machlokas, I will say, as what? As the Shmo. Frame the case as a Karban Pesach offered up the morning of Karban Pesach, Lishmo. And apparently, again, Ben Beseira will say that the Karban is kosher. And ultimately, again, Rabbi Yeshua will say that the Karban is possible. So I'm going to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. We're going to stop over. We're going to pick up in Meretz Hashem with this bombshell case tomorrow.